What's going on, everybody? Jeremy with Detroit Tech. Today we're doing a camera shootout between the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 and the Google Pixel 2 XL. Now, Corey and I went downtown Detroit, took a bunch of pictures. This is going to be pretty cool. We used the exact same point on the phone for focus and exposure. Both phones were in the full automatic HDR auto mode, as well as, of course, we tried to get the same crop, same framing for each picture. The cool thing is this is going to be a blind test. So we're going to show camera A, then camera B, then both of them right next to each other. And at the end, that's when we'll tell you which one was which and kind of what we thought and which one we like better. Let's jump into it. Okay, so here we have our parking structure that we parked at. Just pay attention here to the white balances, which will probably be a reoccurring theme here. Notice the bright lights on the roof and the car lights as well, as make sure you pay attention to the exposure outside the door and the lights on the roof as well. Now, moving on here, we have the dime building lobby. You'll see a subtle difference in the white balance here. Pay attention to the couches as well to the skylight at the top of the frame. That'll give you a little bit of an indication of the exposure as well. Again, you can see here, it is pretty darn subtle. Next up, we actually have just a cool example of the portrait mode, live focus mode, just of a plant. So keep an eye on that wall behind, that kind of blue-green wall behind. Now, both of the cameras here blur the background pretty well, and see if you notice kind of any difference in the detail in the leaves that are in focus, and kind of let us know which one you think looks a little bit more natural. Now, we did need lunch while we were there, so we went to Shake Shack. So watch the focus on the bacon and pay attention to the color difference between the two pictures. I find one to be a little bit more pleasing to the eye, but the other just seems actually a little bit more natural. So especially keep an eye on that green lettuce and the differences there. Now, here we have the beautiful outside of the Guardian building. Pay attention just to the difference in the exposure in the sky. At the top of the Guardian building here, there'll be a bit more detail in one of them than the other in the brickwork and that sort of thing here. Here you can see them both side by side. Now, next up, we're going to go inside that Guardian building. And here, there's a pretty big difference in the exposure, which leads to a little bit more like vibrant colors in one over the other. So you can keep a look here. You'll see one seems a bit more vibrant. One looks maybe a little bit more natural. Now here we are in the Guardian building elevator lobby, where you'll actually see a reverse to the trend of A being more exposed than B. You also pay attention to the marble here, that dark marble kind of on the left and right. Might see a little bit of extra detail in the variations in that marble between the two different pictures. Next up, something maybe a little bit odd, but it's a scale, a Toledo scale specifically. You'll see a difference here, not actually in exposure, but more in white balance, with A leaning towards a much warmer temperature. Both cameras do a great job here with the detail on the inner workings of the scale, and here next to each other, you can definitely see A does lean a little bit warmer here. Now next, we have this cool branch chandelier in the beer garden here in the Winter and Detroit area. Make sure to pay attention to the details in the branches of the chandelier and general exposure of just the sky and the buildings in the background. Here with them together, you'll see quite the contrast here a little bit in the background as well. Now we just have kind of table knickknacks, and per the trend, A does tend to be a little bit more exposed. Interesting thing is pay attention just to the detail in that railroad spike jack. I guess that was kind of the point of interest in it. And you can see again with them together just a bit of a difference in that exposure. Now outside this kind of beer garden downtown, there's a big exposure difference again. Pay attention here to the details in the clouds and in the sky and the details under the roof on the right. I personally noticed a little bit of noise in both, but one has less like immediately noticeable noise. Now we have this kind of cool fire. If you pay attention actually to the flames on the right, you'll see a big difference in the choice of shutter speed between the two cameras. One being actually quite fast and having the flames more in focus than the other. And also in the background, pay attention to the detail in the wood on that shack. Now, upcoming next, we have in Campus Martius, the really cool skating park. So pay attention here to the detail in that building in the background, and especially the difference in the winter signs on those light poles. And also, again, pay attention just to the exposure and how each camera tends to actually take a little bit of just a different approach here. And so next, we're actually going to head into that building, into one Campus Martius. This is the lobby. And again, per that trend, you'll see a big difference in the exposure and the white balance. There's a lot to see here with the skylight, and that'll lose a little bit of detail in one of the pictures as well. And pay attention to that translucency here in the color of the triangles, how it differs between each of these. And now, again, difference in white balance and a noticeable difference in the depth of field, with one camera actually keeping everything in focus. The other just kind of keeps R2 in focus. Though we did not use the portrait live focus mode on either of these cameras, and you'll see it here, especially with them together. One's a little bit more detailed than the other. Okay, so which one did you like more? Go ahead, pause the video. I'll wait. All right, so if you liked phone A, you picked Corey's Samsung Galaxy Note 8. But in my book, the winning camera is the Pixel 2 XL camera B. Now, for the Pixel 2, it just seemed to get the white balance better almost every single time. The Note 8 just seemed a little bit more natural sometimes, but it always leaned a little bit too warm. The Pixel 2 XL just has, I think it's that magical HDR. It's very fast shutter speeds, and I think it's layering, 10 different pictures together to get phenomenal exposure and phenomenal dynamic range. On top of all of that, overall, the Pixel 2 just seemed to get a little bit more detail in the vast majority of the pictures. And because of that, that is our pick for the winner of this shootout. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. If you thought it sucked, hit the thumbs down. Either way, I want to hear your comments, your opinions below. Which camera did you like better and why? And we'll see you in the next one.